Hey guys, welcome to DevOps School. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Docker. It helps us to create, deploy and run applications by using containers. After going through this tutorial, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Docker will be absolutely clear to you.
But before that, let me ask you a few things. Are you dreaming of a career with higher pay and more responsibilities? Or are you ready to take your skills to the next level this year? Then start investing in DevOps School certification level courses which will help you to emerge skills for a wide range of entry-level roles and as well as higher potential future positions. But with thousands of courses online and in classroom worldwide, finding the right one for your career goals can be difficult. You can consider our courses like Agile Developer, Agile QA, DevOps Certified Professionals, Site Reliability Engineering, DevSecOps, and Masters in DevOps Engineering, where you will have access to well-structured, easy-to-follow course content that has been developed and will be delivered by industry professionals. You can join on our training programs globally through online platforms, and if you are looking for classroom workshops, then we have regular sessions available in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi NCR, Mumbai and in Pune. Simply compare our many courses, find the one that suits your style and schedule best and start today.
Question is, from where the mount is coming from? So, see that in the kernel namespace, there is a one namespace which is called mount. This is because of that. So now I got to know, okay, wonderful. We got a namespace mount also. MNTOs mount. We'll just call it mount. Namespace. Okay. So see here, very simple logic. When you boot a system, you get the one mount, everyone. We get the one PID, one mount, one PID. Here also I'll write one mount, one PID. How many users get initialized or can be initialized in the Linux operating system?
One user per session, right?
So mount we get one, right? PID we get one. How many users we can initialize? We are allowed. When I say user initialize, that means how many users we can create. That is the question.
It's n number, right?
N number, right. Guys, now when we run, see that very simple thing. When you boot up the system, basically kernel get loaded in the RAM. Okay. Then we get one mount attached. When I say mount, you know, understand this. File system attached to your compute unit. One PID get attached. N number of users get attached. And one network is also required. Why network? Because if you network do not get it, so you will not be able to access the other world. So one network also gets initialized. Only one network. Now, from where the network is coming from? So look at this again. See here. Network. Okay. So this network is coming from here. And then you can get it one network. Why one network? Because of, have you run the two Apache on the same port? 80 port in the one compute unit? Have you run?
No.
No. So we just one compute. Now we have C groups which is doing the applications and all. Now guys, this is the last topic, last thing which you need to know. This user Rajesh, whether it's a root user, and Karan, whether it's a non-root user, how we will decide? How can we decide? Think about it like this. We simply create administrator user, okay? And then we create a normal user. We change the normal user to administrator user to normal user. We do that very lots of time. But the question is, have you ever realized that how that is happening from the kernel, which component which is managing those access, user access, whether you are allowed to access me, kernel capabilities, or you are not allowed to access. Have you got into this question in your mind? No? So guys, here you see in this image, though it's a shadow image, here is security. Security, you have many things, SC-LAN, but the one thing which you see, capability, it's shadows actually. So, cannot show you, it's here. Probably I'll show you here. Look at this. There is a one capability, last one, which is a part of the security. This image is very good, but that is not coming. This one. This one. So, there is one capability. You know, through capabilities, you will get an access capability. Which user is a root or non-root? Very simple. Okay. Root will have access to the kernel also. Non-root will not have access to the kernel. Okay. So guys, this is the overall sum up. So the question which we were discussing, what are the components we need to run applications? So in short, guys, we need kernel. Kernel has namespace. And if you really want to run any applications, let me redo the things. Okay, let me recreate this. Think logically. We have a hardware which human cannot interact. Then we have a kernel which we can interact. Kernel has PID namespace, user namespace, mount namespace. These are the boot file system, okay? And network namespace, capabilities, and status, CJ. All these things we have in the kernel. What happens? What happens when you boot a system? They create a one PID table. Now PID table, you want to see that? Let me show you. Let me show you. See, this is a PID table. Very good image. This is a PID table. See guys, everything that appeared from, you know what? Every process coming from where? You know from where? Anyone? 0. We call, right, in India, everything comes from nothing, correct? Nothing. Everything has come from nothing. So same way, this process table you see, 1 has come from 0, from 1, 2 and 3, 5, 6, 7. And here you see 6 and 8, 9, 10. What is this 8.1, 9.2, 10.3? What is this? Any idea? What is this? Any idea, guys?
Sub-process.
Sub-process, but for what? See, this can be a user, yes. What happens? I logged into the system. Rajesh logged into the system. I will get 8. Who's my parent? 6. Who's the parent of 6? 3. Who's the parent of 3? 1. Who's the parent of 1? G. No. That means this is called one process map. Now, if I will run Apache shell XYZ. So for that 8.1, 9.2, whatever it is like. This is my process. Now I am become a part of someone else's process. So this is a parent namespace PID anatomy what we have. So guys, what I was trying to let you know, what are the components we need to run? We need it. Let me put it in the bold actually. Need it to run an app. And we need these other ones. So guys, so far did you understand that? How this system allocates the resources and you run applications? Did you understand this? Any confusion so far? Okay. So guys, you must be wondering why I'm teaching you. I'm not teaching you something great, which we have studied this one in our graduation during engineering and all. And these are the components which need to be there for running any application. So the question was still not answered. What is container? So now let's understand, guys, what is container. Let me tell you here, what is Docker, by the way? Docker is a tool for saving cost, saving time, improving efficiency. But what context? For running apps. See that relationship. We want to save cost, we want to save time, we want to improve efficiency. For what? For running apps. Now the question is again, what are the components we need to run apps? These are the things. Now, let's go into the timeline of history, how we were running applications. So let's go 20 years from now. Okay, I'll just put it back. Okay, let's say 1990s, you just go 1990s. And then we go for 2000. And let's talk about now. So tell me guys, in 1990s, how we used to run applications? How, when, where we used to run applications? In the 1990s, where we used to run the applications? Okay. Maybe my question is little bit confusing. Let me start the context. So actually, I remember we used to run applications in our desktop. Okay, desktop. Yes. We had a desktop and we used to run applications. Now let me create the desktop. See that. I am having the hardware layer on top of kernel layer and plus operating system, whatever. When I say operating system, consider this as a kernel +++. Then I will create one login in my physical machine, Rajesh, and run Apache. Okay. Now you know that one mount will be there, root file system, one process ID will be there, one network will be there. From the network, they can access my application from outside. Mount will be there for the file system and PID for the CPU and RAM allocation. So this is how we used to run in the desktop. Correct, no guys? Correct? Right. Now guys, we got something great. And we got internet. Yes. Till that time, without internet, before internet, we all were running application in desktop. Let me remind you, for example, Photoshop, MS Office, different software, Flash if you have used it, step. Now we got the internet. Now when we got the internet, think logically, it's nothing I'm teaching you great actually, to be honest. When we got the internet, then we stopped running slowly, we stopped running application in desktop. Where we started running? We started running in data center. Think about it. Okay. We got the internet. So internet-based applications become popular. And same time, it got free also, free apps. They do not charge you for anything. Like Hotmail, Gmail, Orkut, Reddit Ball, and so many applications we had. So many applications. So, internet-based applications got very popularity because of the internet. At that time, we were using internet. Using internet. And few applications, few websites, Yahoo and all, we were using. So think about the problem of Yahoo, one of the case studies. See here, they are running your application in their data center. Okay. Now in the data center, how can we run applications? So you need this architecture, physical hardware, operating system, user and application, all the things we have discussed. I will avoid the repeating things. So we need the data center, right? So now same time, you are not paying for it. It's a free app. So Yahoo or Hotmail or some other vendors, some other companies, how can they, think about it, how can they save cost for running applications in data center? I'm just talking the data center. Think about it. How can they do that? How can we save time? Because if I add a physical machine again in a data center, it takes hours and hours to assemble the hardware, format the system, install the operating system, install the prerequisite app, then test it, then attach to the data center load balancer and stuff like that. So it's like too much of work which we have. So how can we save time to get the compute unit faster and saving and improving efficiency? So guys, when we got the internet popular and they wanted to run application, but they wanted to run application cheaper. Okay, cheaper. So they have to do something. You only suggest me. See here guys, look at my screen. It's not very great things. See here. This is one physical box. Okay. This is one physical box. Your average utilization, think about it. Your average utilization is on your internet-based applications. Average utilization is 2 GB. Which is let's not talk about average. Let's talk about the minimum. So when you have a traffic at the minimum, at the lowest, then you need a 2 GB. Okay, RAM. I'm just giving you RAM. And if you have a highest traffic, then you need a 16 GB RAM. One machine I'm talking. So now you tell me, guys, when you want to procure your hardware, So you will go for 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, or 8 GB RAM, or 16 GB RAM. Tell me. When you procure hardware, of course, why I'm asking stupid question. Of course, you'll go for 60. But actually, if you look at the data center, you don't have one machine actually. You have hundreds of machines, and your average utilization is 4 GB only. I'm saying average, not the highest, not the lowest, average. That means if you look at your how much hardware you are wasting, so almost you are wasting 12 GB. That is a huge wastage if you multiply by 200 physical machines. Huge wastage. You see that wastage in data center. Then you will have a very bad time because one place the user are not paying for application, internet-based applications. Ads are not coming, generating lots of money. Microsoft become richer. Why? They sold the Office and Windows operating system. Before people use it, if you want to use the Microsoft Office, you have to go and buy first, pay upfront. Immediately Microsoft will get money. And then you start using it. You like it or not like it, you are using it or not using it, Microsoft is not caring about that. They got the money, they become rich. But Yahoo, Google, Hotmail, Facebook, or many other enterprises, LinkedIn, Twitter, and many enterprises, they are not charging you, giving you lots of free apps, free storage, free compute, free everything. The model of revenue is different, ad-based, but how much ads is generating money? So they cannot survive only on the depends on ads. They have to do something else. So if you make it 200, then you see the number is being wastage resource. So guys, that was the scene during the desktop era, physical machine we call it. We were running in physical machines. Okay. So tell me what has happened. What has happened? Something has happened which you know that. What has happened? Anyone? Yes. Then we got, guys, here is a physical server. Okay. Physical, physical server. Okay. Then we got the virtual server. See that how the migration is happening. Physical server to virtual server. Now if you look at this, how this transition is happening. So here, this was my physical server. This is the hardware. Look at this. This is the operating system. This is the mount. This is the PID. This is the network. This is the user. This is the application. PID, mount, network, user. All these are coming from where? Think about it. I have answered all this. All this coming from the kernel namespace. I named also those namespaces. This is a physical server. Now, what we are doing in the virtualization, we have hardware. Okay, we have hardware. This is the hardware. On top of that, we have operating system. Here, kernel or operating system, whatever you call it. Let's call it operating system. Okay, think. And then top of that, install hypervisor. See, hypervisor H. Then on top of that, it create a VM. Multiple VM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a VM. Okay. Now look at this. On the top of that, we have operating system again. OS. Again OS. Again OS. Think about it. And operating system, then we have a user and all these things coming here also. And then application. So now guys, see what is happening. Instead of running the application in physical machines, you are running in the virtual server now. Virtual machines. So because of virtual server, what has happened? Wastage got reduced. Wastage got reduced. Now if you have more hardware and more hardware remaining, okay, think about it. If you have more hardware, you can create a more VM. Okay. You can give this compute unit, you can share this unit. Earlier, think about it. Earlier you have a dedicated 5 physical machines. You cannot share with some other objective, some other work actually. Why? Because it's dedicated. This resource is being wasted and wasted and wasted. You cannot do anything because you will get scared. Why should we use production box for something else? But here is not the case. If you have the remaining hardware available, you can reuse somewhere else also. So here what is happening? From here we migrated from physical machine to virtual server. Now when we migrated to virtual server, the question you should be asking in your mind, that this virtual server provided the ecosystem for running apps? Look at this. You only decide. Virtual server. You have a guy's operating system. Think. Operating system has kernel. Kernel has namespace. Namespace has a PID, user, mount, network, secrets, capabilities. And these are the things which needed to run app. So yes, virtual model worked actually. It was accepted. Worked. But guys, as I said, we were using internet earlier. Now we are consuming. Using versus consuming. Means internet is consuming us. Actually, if you look at this, your mobile phone, 50s of apps you are installed. And they are knowingly, unknowingly, they use your internet. They are logged in always. They are doing something in the background, though either you are using or not. So, now we are using, see, look at your daily activities. Earlier, Gmail we got, I think, 100 MB to begin with. Now, Gmail is giving you 15 GB. YouTube, you keep uploading the videos, they never complain you. Facebook, you keep uploading the images, they never complain you. Day and night you are logged into the Facebook or Gmail or LinkedIn or Twitter or any other website. Just look at it. You think, okay, have you ever thought about that? If you have logged in, that means it's consuming some part of CPU and RAM to their server data center also. Have you thought about it? So now guys, virtual server is not working anymore. Why? Because earlier we were using the internet. So virtual server was able to reduce the cost, time, and help us to improve the efficiency of the software development life cycle. But virtual server is not helping us now. This is what I'm talking about now. Okay? Think about it now. So what we do in this case? What we do in this case? Because we evolved from physical server to virtual server. Now how do we evolve from the virtual servers to what we should go? That is the question which you have to think about it. So guys, do you know what is the full form for PC? What is the full form of PC?
Personal computer.
Okay, great. You must be thinking why I'm asking stupid question. But personal computing. Again read it. Personal computing. What does that mean? What does that mean?
So we are doing all activities in our personal system, right? That's what the
Personal means understand. Computing means understand. Computing means CPU, RAM, storage. Now, personal means mine, yours. So guys, when individual, yes. Think about it. Guys, when we got the computer, okay, the computer was not designed. Think about it. Very simple logic. Computer was not designed for running a data center. Just imagine. In 1990s, 80s or 70s, when the computer were designed, that was not designed for running a data center. At that time, internet was not invented. Computer was designed for giving one device to each individual for personal computing. Think. So when they got a personal computing, then they created operating system. On side operating system, they got it kernel. And inside a kernel, they gave you, think about it, they gave you only one PID. The question is, can you have a more PID or not? Yes, you could have more PID table. But they realized it. What do you want to do with the more PID? More PID, what do you want to do with it? Because you are the human being, you are using computer for personal computing. And you as an individual, you can run a different app with a different PID, so you don't need a same PID for the different app. They gave you only one mount. They gave you only one mount. Which mount? C drive, D drive, OPT, TMP, this, that. Have you ever seen 2 C drives? Have you ever seen 3 C drives? No. They thought, what you will do with the 2 C drive? We need to, just 1 C drive is okay for you because of personal computing. Have you got the 2 network initialized? In a short answer, have you run ever 2 Apache on 80 port? Have you run 2 Apache? Again, I'm reminding you. 2 Apache on 80 port. Have you seen 2 C drive? Have you seen the 2 PID for the same process? No. So they give you one mount. What you need to work? One PID. But guys, they empowered you, they gave you the capabilities where users are like a root, can create a more user, initialize more user initialization, n number of it. So they allowed you, but the question you should ask, this PID comes from the kernel. User comes from the kernel boot file system. Never forget about it. Okay. Noun come from the kernel. Network comes from the kernel. Capabilities and everything comes from the kernel. But they do not allow. So they do not allow because of PC concept. When we talk to Microsoft or Linux or Unix, and when we ask, can you give us a ways in which we can create a more mount? Microsoft says no. Listen, we created operating system for personal computing, not for running data center. Yes, not for running data center. But what we are doing, think about it. Actually, we are running PC concept PC architecture for running the data center in 2000 onwards. Till now, we are using some architecture which is for the human designed for one person, and we are running data center. So now look at this model and tell me in this model what is your waste. Tell me, I want to run Apache here. I want to run Apache here. I want to run Apache here. I want to run Apache. This is a virtual model, okay? So I'm running one Apache, one Apache, one Apache, one Apache, one Apache. Why we need to run 5 Apache? You know that very well. You know that very well. 5 Apache? So here, I'm running on 80 port. 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 I'm running on... So who's creating isolation? OS, 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 OS. So tell me here, what is the drawbacks in this model, in the virtualization model? Find out the drawbacks.
So there is a separate operating system for every VMware that is being running. So that need some CPU is being required for running this OS every OS.
Wonderful. You answer my question in one go. See guys, 5 applications. How many operating systems? 6. Let me remind you, operating system also consumes CPU, RAM, storage, and licensing cost. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have 6 operating systems to run 5 Apache applications. That is a burden actually. That means this is a waste. See, we migrated from physical server to virtual server. Why? To avoid the wastage. But virtual server is also not helping us now. Because you need so much of compute. You need so much of compute in data center. And the company should survive. They should not reduce the running cost. And you also nowadays you want the immediate release. Do you know that immediate release, right? As part of the CI/CD process. Immediate release. I'll give you one simple example. You have Ola, which you are using right now. Let's say 5 seconds, it's not available. What you will do? You'll migrate to Uber. Second day also, Ola is not available for 5 seconds. It may happen, any issues may come. So again you will migrate to Uber, and third day, you will not come back to Ola again. So what? Ola has lost it, their consumer. So here what you want for the organization, they have to have an immediate release. That means if any bugs is in software, you have to roll out or roll back in 1 second. I said 1 second. Zero downtime is expected in the world of internet right now. If you access Gmail and it's not accessible the time when you are accessing, it's a big headlines will be created, right? So these companies have created a new standard of compute. So immediately you need it. You want to roll out or roll back immediately, now. How can you do that? Because virtual machine itself, it takes to create 5 minutes and then configure the server. So how can we do that? So physical machine used to take a day, virtual machine is taking 5, but now the downtime, the rollout and rollback is expected in a second. How can you do that? So you have to find out the reason for it. VM. Here is, if you look at this here, this hypervisor also consumes lots of CPU. It's a heavyweight actually. It also consumes lots of CPU, RAM, and licensing cost. Take a VMware. So what do we do in this case? What we do in this case? Any suggestion, guys, from all of you? You know the drawbacks of virtualization technology. Any suggestion?
Instead of giving the entire OS for Apache based application, whatever the base components required for Apache, that one only you have to provide as a OS or whatever term we call.
So let me explain in this way. See guys, think about it. See your objective. Always focus on your objective. What is your objective? Run app. Which app? Apache, 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 Apache. So can I do one thing? Think. Can I do one thing? First I'll show you this image. This is the hardware layer. This is the kernel operating system layer. Can I log in? Rajesh log in. Think. Rajesh has logged in and he is running one app, Apache. 80 port. I'll change the color so you'll understand this. Very simple logic. 80 port. 50 PID. And he is writing a 5 Apache in C Apache. I'm using Windows only to understand better. C Apache. So guys, can Rajesh run this Apache again, second Apache on 80 port?
No.
Can Apache again can be run on the 50 PID? No. If I write this Apache also in C Apache, can we manage the data integrity? It will be rewritten here to there to here. So no. Are you getting the problem? Are you getting the problem? Are you getting the problem? So guys, Rajesh can run Apache, 5 Apache, very well he can run. But the problem here is, he has to change the port number, 81, 82, 83, 51, 52, 53, C Apache 1, C Apache 2, C Apache 3. But if I change the port, understand that. If I change the port, tell me what is the drawback of this Apache. If I change the port 81, 82, 83, what is the drawback?
So the user also wants to change the port and then access the application.
Any other points? Any other points? Guys, remember, we are doing all this work so we can access these applications through internet. So how do we access the internet? Remember, never forget the entire architecture. Architecture is very important. This is me. I am using laptop. I type www.devopsschool.com. Where it goes? DNS server. From the DNS server, where it goes? Load balancer. Load balancer. Where it goes? App server. Hundreds of machines are there. Not one. App server. And then from here again load balancer. Again web server. Again hundreds of machines are there. Not one. And then database server. So this is architecture. I'm not able to draw properly, but this is architecture, right? DNS server to load balancer to Apache. And this is your VM. This is your VM. So tell me, if I run in a one VM or on my own machine, all the applications, what is the drawbacks now? What's the drawbacks?
Yeah, we need to change the port number for all VMs, right?
Correct. No, I'm saying I'm running in only one VM to save the cost. I was running in the 5 VMs that was there. 80 port, 80 port, 80 port, 80 port, 80 port. So how this load balancer will work? Do you know that rules of load balancer, correct? Do you know? Rules.
Yeah, it will route to like
rules for load balancer.
There are multiple rules available, like round robin.
Yeah, I'm saying this is fundamental. It should be different IP and same port. Correct, no? different IP and network TCP load balancer, different IP and same port. Correct now? So here, see here, load balancer will work here. Why? Because same port, same port, same port, same port, same port. Different IP, different IP, different IP, different IP, different IP. But here, see, different port, different port, different port, different port, different port. But same IP is opposite. So load balancer will work? No, it will not work. So yes, I can run 5 Apache in a data center. I can change the port number also. It will work. But it's a waste for the load balancer because load balancer will not be able to hit that. So guys, I hope you have understood overall the ecosystem of running app. So what to do? What to do in this case? What to do? So think one more architecture I will suggest you. Okay. Think. You know that in the kernel you have all this. Whereas everything got initialized 111, whereas namespace can be, user space can be multiple. Think and tell me whether it will work or not. Okay? Think. So this is your hardware. On top of that, you have an operating system, kernel. Okay? When I say kernel, always remember all these things you have it. Now on top of that, we have one network. Here one network. Okay? Here one process mount, PID, and one mount. Now mount. You create one user, two user, three user, four user. All these four users share the same resources. Okay? Share the same resources. Understand this. Now is there any possibility I will create one more user? Think. I'm creating one more user. Let me change the color. Guys, this user I'm creating, and you know what I'm doing? This user is not assigned with this mount, this VMAP, and this network. This user got their own mount. Think, root file system, their own root file system. Own process map starting with 0, 1, 2 and one own network. Must be wondering how come? Guys, think. It's all these things is there in the kernel. Yes, kernel is coming from here. So now one more user let me create here dynamically. Let me first erase. Okay. This user also is being created. Think. Because user can be initialized n number of times, right? So here this user got created. This user got created. One more. But this user also will get one mount, separate mount. Think. Process map and network. This user running Apache. Think. Now this user Apache, can he run on 80 port? Yes, because it's a separate network. Can we have a 50 PID? Yes. Process map. Can he run on C Apache? Yes. Mount. Can he do the same thing? 80 port, 50 PID, C Apache? Yes, these two users can do that if they get their own resources. But these three users cannot do that because they have a shared resources. Guys, is it possible? Tell me. Is it possible? Is it possible? So guys, no ERS.
Yes,
Yes, it's possible.
So guys, those who said no, so actually Microsoft and Linux also said no. That's true. Microsoft said no. Linux guys said no. They said no, not because of it's not possible, but they said no because they said, boss, we are creating operating system. Think. They said, Microsoft said, and Linux guys said, we are creating operating system. Okay? So operating system for what? Personal computing. For the individual, for the human being. I will not be able to modify my operating system to accommodate and do this stuff because user will get confused. I have not created operating system, the one which you have been discussed so far, is for the running data center app. It's for the personal computing. So that way, though it's possible, you can create n number of initialization. I will only do one, only do the mount one, only do network one, but user I will allow multiple. This is possible. You can create initialize through that namespaces. You can create a number of namespaces, but it's not allowed by operating system. Why? The reason is PC concept. So Microsoft denied this. Linux denied. Then what we do? Then this guy said, okay. This guy came and said, no problem. You don't do. I understand your problem. You will not do. I understand your problem. But what I will do that, I will write one wrapper on top of it. I will write one wrapper on top of it. That means on top of operating system, I will write a wrapper. This will not impact you. Okay. I will write a wrapper, this wrapper. Now think about it. This wrapper will talk to the kernel, and this guy will create a user, mount, process map, network. Ultimately, I will ask kernel only, but I will not disturb you. So this is Rajesh, not disturbed, Karan, and one more name, Anil. This user are still using, think, same shared PMAP, network, and mount. But the user which is created by this wrapper is having their own mount, their own PMAP, own network. So Apache can run on 50 PID, 80 port, and C Apache. 80 port, 50 PID, and C Apache. So now you tell me, guys, this guy has made it possible. Now you tell me what we call this and what we call
Container.
So guys, this is called Docker and this is called container. So ultimately, what is container? Think. Container, if you see, it's a lighter. So container is lightweight. Guys, someone is listening this song. Someone is listening this song because this is going back to me. Okay. So here, what is container? So container is user space, namespace, which we discussed so many times. User space name, one user namespace. But these users get special mount, their own mount, own network, own PID, not the shared one like this. Who is doing all these things? Docker. Docker is taking capabilities from where? Kernel. Without interrupting our normal use. So now you tell me, look at this here. How many Apache you want to run? Think. How many Apache you want to run? 5. So how many operating systems here you have in this way? How many operating systems you have?
Only one.
Only one, which is here. And guys, do you have hypervisor? Compare hypervisor and Docker. Docker consume very less CPU and RAM compared to hypervisor. That is the reason we call it Docker is a lightweight. Hypervisor is a heavyweight. So guys, the idea here is you save so much of CPU, so much of RAM, licensing cost, so you can run application faster, and all the component what you need to run applications, you get it. So guys, did you got this answer? What is container? So actually, you are also container. Don't think yourself as not a container. You are also container. Your logged in session, you logged in as a Karan or Ravi or this or that. You are also a container actually. But you are unfortunate container. You are shared container. You are sharing the same amount, same PID, same network. All of you logged into one machine. But these containers, these users are lucky with the help of Docker. They get their own mount. They got own network. They get their own PID. So application inside a container, because any user can run any application, remember? I can run Apache, you can run Apache, but this container also can run Apache, provided all the ecosystems should be there. So this is the container. So guys, let's conclude this topic. What is container? So official definition, container is a lightweight, fully independent application runtime environment. Say, when I say application runtime environment, that means this is application and independent, isolated runtime environment with all dependency in place. Something like this. But technically, if you say user space, one with their own network, mount, PID, and so on. So guys, did you understand that? What is Docker and what is a container? Everyone? Did you understand this? Everyone? If you understand, say in the chat box. Okay. If you have a question, please ask.
Yeah. So Docker is again a tool, right, that is running on top of this operating system.
Yes.
Okay. So in which language it is being developed, the Docker? Yeah.
Docker is open source. Okay. This is developed in Golang. Okay. Written in Golang by Solomon Hykes. Okay. And it has a release, community edition, enterprise edition. Version is right now 19.x. Understood, guys?
Yeah, one more question. Like, since it is also a tool, there will be some restrictions on how much resources it can use, right? Again.
So I told you it's a very lightweight, Docker consuming very lightweight, and user is consuming something similar to what you are consuming. User is same, just like you, me. So I will run 10 application inside a user namespace. Accordingly, the users will be more. If you run only one application, it will be less. Now the question is, how do you get each user the CPU and RAM? So that's provided by C groups, which we discussed here, right? Which container has what kind of capabilities? That decided by capabilities, kernel. So this is the one.
So Rajesh, in short, can we say Docker as a lightweight hypervisor?
No, hypervisor we cannot say because hypervisor has an operating system. Think here, hypervisor manages the operating system. So we cannot say. We typically call it container interface. That means you create a container. Container is like a fully independent runtime environment, which is created by kernel only. Container is managed by kernel only, understand that. But interface needed, so we can manage it. Human can manage it. So Docker is a container network interface. A container interface, not network. Getting it?
And how does it eliminate the need for OS, Rajesh?
So here, that's what I'm saying. It's user only. See, do you have
Meaning that it will just mimic all the namespaces individually for each containers?
That's correct, yeah.
What is happening here?
So it will mimic, it's like you were also mimicking actually getting with the shared resources, but these guys will get dedicated resources, their own. That's all. That's the only difference between you and this guy, container.
Does that mean like, is it going to, split the OS or mimic, in that case, like can we run multiple Dockers within the same OS?
Multiple Docker. But Docker is just the interface, understand? When I say interface, it's like a way between this and kernel interface. That's all. Docker has no any other capability but to request and response. Okay, everything is managed by kernel only. Again, I repeat, everything is managed by kernel only. Docker just help us to, because operating system company says I will not allow to do that. They have not given any utility. So Docker, Solomon has said, no problem, I will create it. On top of that, I will write it. Using that utility, you can talk to the kernel and create those users. And mount, earlier, more than one mount was not available. That means more than one C drive was not available. So now, because of that, it's available. When I say C drive, understand, it's all initialization. Let me put it in a simple way. Probably you will understand this. I hope, I'm guessing, many of you are programmer or developer. So guys, do you understand the concept of class in the programming language?
Yeah, class is a template to creating an object.
Correct. Yes. So when I say these namespaces, these are, you can think this as a class actually. I should go up somewhere here. So you can take this as a class. Okay. And you can create as many objects you wanted. So you want 20 feed, 20 feed, 20 user, 20 user, 20 mount, 20 mount, like that. You can mimic this and create an object, something similar to that. So this is the way actually. So, but operating system guys did not allow us to create multiple. Why? Because it's a PC concept. I explained PC concept, not for the data. Understood, guys?
One question. So Docker is not application and this is not a rewritten of OS, right? This is not.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Because it's just one thing. Docker has not rewritten OS at all. Docker just outsourced it. Docker is become a broker between this container and this kernel. That's all. Nothing is doing, just brokering. Easy way to do. Because operating system did not provide that tool. By the way, nowadays they have provided it. Essentially, they have come up with the container D, which I'll talk about.
If you liked our Docker session so far, please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.